Good morning. So, we were discussing yesterday about toxic relationships and toxic environments, but I never got to finish. Of course, I started getting a lot of calls for Lyft. I completed a project for the U.S. Patent Office in San Jose, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to focus more on my goals and my personal aspirations in life. And since I've trained and mentored so many teams, that now this is my directive, and I actually want to help other people, groups, family members, people that need assistance, people that just need a little encouragement. Maybe you have friends and family members that could use it. I drive Lyft in the morning. I start at 4 in the morning, and I have such a great time. I've met so many great people, executives, if you will, and senior engineers in the Valley. And it's been wonderful. I've got great experience, great feedback, and I've gotten a few accounts so far, so it's actually working out really well. But what I really wanted to get back to was toxic environments, that they're derived from many things in our lives, not just from conversations and relationships, but music, frequencies that come into our life. Our internal conscience is constantly listening and never turns off. When we're asleep, it's communicating with all consciousness, and it's the one thing that I know has worked for me all my life, is dreaming at night how I want the day to be the next day, how I want to focus my life, and what I want resolved in my life, and how I attract an abundance in my life. All learned from Dr. Wayne Dyer, who passed a few years ago, and I learned from his CDs, and I've learned from countless numbers of mentors and motivational speakers, Zig Ziglar, and I mean, just so many in my life. What I want to talk about the toxic environments, and that what you read every day, what you see every day, how it is relayed to you can be toxic. So let me give you an example. Last year, during the president's competition and all the hateful things that went back and forth between the Hillary and current President Trump, was really negative, and it was really to win at all costs. And I saw people, friends, family members, so stuck to the TV every day that it becomes toxic in your life, because you're receiving every minute, every instance of what the news says is important, and it's not. I'll tell you, we turned off and we cut off our cable TV 2 years ago, and we don't watch the news. We don't watch poisons in our life. I keep my family attuned to things they want to see in life through videos, Netflix, hula, things that are positive for them. And now it's manifested itself into nutrition for my son. My son's seen every video over the past 3 years on nutrition and proper eating habits and fast food and Food Inc. and all those things out there that are available, and now he's changed his life. Of course, if you know my son, Joshua James Vasquez, he is an amazing jiu-jitsu practitioner, and I trained him since he was 11, and we've been training every year for the past 11 years now. No, 11, I think 9 years now. And it's been an amazing journey for us, and thank God to my son. He's really saved my life. He's helped me by changing my eating habits and getting rid of breads and milks and cheese and fast foods and anything that is processed foods I don't eat. So I've lost so much weight. I am so healthy now. I'm back on the mats, tapping out people left and right. So I'm enjoying my life and my health, Thank you, Joshua, for all that you're doing for me in my life. Arash Dibazar has helped me in many ways. He's helped me mentally and spiritually, and he's helped the same things I say to people every day in my family and members and employees. He's been telling me, and it's almost like a mirror image of someone reminding me how important it is for your spirit to be alive and to ignore all the negative talk and noise in your life. And so thank you, Arash, for that. Witzlin Mata, who passed last year, and those of you that know who Witzy is in my life, he was a spiritual leader for me in myself, Cain Vasquez, and many people from AKA knew him because he was a professional trainer there and professional cutman for the UFC. So we became best friends, and our families got together many times. He trained me, my son, my wife on kickboxing and boxing. I already knew all these techniques, but to have him as a pro come in and kind of help us with some of the adjustments that we needed in our techniques. And not only that, but he saved my life by taking me to an ayahuasca ceremony. And it helped me during a time that I was in really a lot of pain. And I was listening to a lot of toxic things about society and about, this was in 2012, when people were worried about what's going to happen, with the Mayan calendar and all this stuff. And he told me, that's all noise. Don't worry about that. And he picked me up one day, and he took me to an ayahuasca ceremony, and it reminded me who I was, and it showed me my future, and it showed me how important it was to be grounded with Mother Nature, and that all these things that were in my mind were just noise of people telling me it's not who I was, and it wasn't who I wanted to be. It was just noise telling me to be scared and to have fear. And anyone or anything on the TV that tells you to have fear, turn it off. It's not warning you. You want to be warned? I went to FEMA, and I was trained in FEMA on Emergency Management Agency disaster recovery. And I know how to prepare my family, and I know what to do in a disaster, and I know how to communicate with people, and I know how to keep in touch with family and friends in a disaster, and I know how to prepare my mother at 87 years old and to make sure that everyone's safe in their life. And when you know they're safe, you don't have to listen to the news. But people at times believe that you have to listen to news every day, and you don't. You don't. Be aware of all the things in your life. Be aware of those voices in your world, and control them. Stop them for your children. Don't be so nervous and so scared that it relates to your children's attention span, and they become nervous and scared, and they become like sheep, lambs, if you will. I learned a big lesson in my life many times, and I had to learn to be more humble in my life. And if you guys know me, if I work with you ever in life, man, my passion, my drive was so strong, you couldn't stop me. You couldn't stop me if you tried. And if you tried, that was a challenge for me to say, don't stop. So when people try to stop you in life, remember what drives you. There's a difference between being driven and being motivated. Motivated means I enjoy what I do. Driven means no one can stop me from what I'm going to do in my life. So I was driven in my life. I was driven because without a degree, just a high school diploma, I took courses in community college. I took courses at University of Phoenix. I took technical and BSIS courses, and they helped me in presentations and communication, but they didn't help me technically. Technically, I learned that on my own. I learned that by opening books and reading and applying them to computer systems and servers. And I learned all the error and events and the logs and how you maintain those. And so I did a lot of things on my own. So I wasn't taught by the, quote unquote education system where they teach you everything's from a book. I taught myself by real world application, and I taught myself by hands-on and learning, because I learn best by hands-on. I'm a visual person, so everything you show me visually, I'll get it in a second. But when I put my hands on it manually, my brain and muscle memory, really they they link these things together, and so therefore you're better at what you do. You're not just coming from a book. And a lot of times I had to deal with engineers, and engineers would tell me what the book said, and I said, that's not real world. That's not how it's done. That's not how it works. In real world, there's errors that you have to evaluate and figure out where they're from and if they're critical or not. And so I learned all those things. So as far as toxic things in your life, you need to learn how to manage those things and control them, not just for you, but for your family, for your children, for your grandchildren. And I'm not a perfect father, and I wasn't a perfect son. I had a lot of issues growing up, and my parents moved us from the east side to the west side, thinking it'd be better for us not to be in gangs. My brother was jumped many times to be in gangs, and we didn't want to be in gangs, none of us. And so when we moved to the west side, I had to deal with prejudice, and that prejudice actually drove me and helped me to be who I am today, and to succeed in life, and to succeed in all these companies that thought, no, you have to have a degree. Applied Materials wouldn't hire you without a degree unless you're a receptionist, and they hired me as a senior engineer. And it's only because of my application in life and my drive to be the best every day with my teams or with engineers, with anyone, to be the best, constantly motivating myself, staying late at night, working hours after hours, but every day I was training myself and learning, self-learning, that it got to the point where people knew they didn't need a degree. They needed more. They needed a person. I'll tell you more in a minute. Give me a second.